God, not the Spirit of God, but their hearts have condemned them and said, you deserve to be living in humiliation amongst the pigs. Verse 18, I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy. There we see it. He's feeling unworthy. He's feeling condemned. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired men. So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him. I'm convinced in my heart that the father stood out there on the stoop day after day after day looking for his son. One day he would see somebody in the distance and he would walk a bit closer and then be disappointed when he'd realize it wasn't his son, and he'd go back to the stoop. And the next day he'd be back there again and he'd be looking. Because Jesus said when the boy was still a long way off, his father saw him. And look what he did. He was filled with compassion for him and he ran to his son. This is love. Not that we loved him, but that he first loved us. He ran to his son. I want to tell you something today. If it was my son, I would jolly well not have run to him. I would have stood there waiting. Say, yeah, but come explain yourself. Am I right? Come explain yourself. Maybe in my heart I'd be glad that he's back, but I certainly wouldn't show it. I would want him to know that he's been naughty. So now, he runs to his son, throws his arms around him, and kissed him. Now look at the next verse. Now the boy starts apologizing. He starts showing his remorse. He starts repenting. Look at it. The son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven, against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Again, I want to say to you that if it was my son, I would have let him sweat a little bit. I would have drawn it out a little bit and said, that's right. Tell me how sorry you are. I need to hear it. And you're quite right. You are not worthy to be called my son. In fact, I think it'll be a jolly good idea if you go and live with the servants for a month or 2 or 6. Until you've learnt your lesson. And then we'll see how your behavior is. And if it's up to standard, we'll let you come back into the main house. Not this father. I want you to see in verse 22, the next verse. It's as if though the father ignores what the son is trying to do. Either he ignores it or he actually didn't hear it. I don't know. I think maybe he didn't hear it. The boy is trying to apologize. He's trying to explain himself. The father won't have any of it. The father interrupts him and says to his servants, quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. You need to understand that that robe and that ring were very, very significant. It wasn't just mere clothing and mere jewelry. That robe and that ring were an indication of the fact that his position in the house had been restored to him. It was an indication of the fact that the inheritance that he had lost, that he had blown, had been restored to him. The years that the locusts have eaten. Restoration. restoration. Not just of position, but of possession. Bring the fattened calf. Kill it. Let's have a feast. Let's celebrate, for the son of mine was dead and is alive today. He was lost and he is found. And they began to celebrate. You know what? For some of you, the devil has lied to you. Maybe religion has lied to you. And your heart has condemned you, and because of that, you are living with the pigs today. Not literally, but you know what I mean. And you know what God is saying to you this morning? Come home. Come home. In my Father's house, there are many rooms. I've prepared one for you. There's a room that's made up for you. And it's empty because you have gone your own way. And your heart has condemned you, and your heart has said that you don't deserve to come back. That unconditional acceptance, love, wisdom, peace, provision, healing, security and protection and safety. You don't deserve it because you haven't earned it. No. It's by grace, not by works. You've been raised up into those heavenly places by grace, unmerited favor, not by works, so that no man can boast. Family, son and daughter, it's time to come home. It's time to come home to the Father's house today, and to the privileges that were given to you through Christ Jesus.